At their 25-yard line, they trail for the first time in the football
1980
game.
ushered in a continuation of the Gamecocks' winning ways. It was a second consecutive 8-win season and was a campaign featuring George Rodgers and his marvelous exploits carrying the football and his team to new heights. It began with a 153-yard first half against the University of Pacific, where Big George averaged over 10 yards every time he touched the ball. Then another 100-yard half against Wichita State that went down as the greatest offensive outburst ever for the explosive Carolina ground attack. With powerful up-front blocking by the likes of Ben Garnet and Willie Scott, the Gamecocks rolled up 527 yards total offense and scored a South Carolina record 10 touchdowns. Their 73 points is the highest point production ever. The game of the year came 2 weeks later when the undermanned and undersized Gamecocks ventured to Ann Arbor, Michigan, the den of the mighty Wolverines and the winner of that year's Rose Bowl. The throng of 104,213 was the largest number to ever see a South Carolina team perform, and they performed an exhibition that many Gamecock faithful will recognize as one of their most memorable triumphs. George Rodgers commanded the ground attack as he rambled for 142 yards.
He comes back to the left on a reverse. They give the ball to Rodgers, trying to sweep to the outside, cuts to the inside 15, 10, all the way to the 9-yard line. What a run by Rodgers.
Tight end Willie Scott, who would finish his career fourth on the USC receiving list, hauled in 4 passes for 52 yards.
Back to throw is Hyper all the way back to the 21. Little delay over the middle of Willie Scott. He's up the 35 to the 40 and hit down at the 44-yard line.
Defensive back Mark Bridges made a key play late in the game to snuff out a Michigan drive when he picked off this Wolverine pass.
The middle, and it's intercepted by Mark Bridges. Pass intended for Allen Mitchell.
Walt Cater contributed 2 fumble recoveries deep in Carolina territory to help keep the Wolverines out of the Gamecock end zone.
It'll be a touchback. Walt Cater got the loose football, and what a break for Carolina.
The defense was paced with 12 tackles by lineman Chuck Allen and another 10 from Ed Baxley.
Wolfick trying to drive off the right side, runs right into Eddie Baxley, the linebacker.
George Rodgers continued his assault on the Carolina record books with a 193-yard, 3-touchdown day in a victory over North Carolina State. He came back for 36 carries and 224 yards in a Duke victory that included this 43-yard touchdown beauty. The powerful USC rushing attack amassed 425 yards on the ground. Freshman punter Chris Norman went in the record books as he pushed Duke back with 3 punts for a 50.7-yard average. George Rodgers' prolific season kept rolling into the next conquest over Cincinnati when he gained 128 yards in USC's 49-point first-half performance. The big play half was highlighted by Carl West's 58-yard touchdown jaunt. Johnny Wright eclipsed them all with this marathon 60-yard excursion. The big plays continued when Gordon Beckham added fireworks of his own with this 47-yard quarterback keeper. George Rodgers was averaging over 150 yards a game, culminating with this last home game, an exciting last-second shootout win over Wake Forest. Gary Harper engineered this late fourth-quarter drive, which ended his best passing day with a thrilling 3rd touchdown pass. It came from 62 yards away and fell into the waiting hands of flanker Horace Smith, who raced to pay dirt with only 57 seconds remaining to save George Rodgers' day and wrap up the Gator Bowl bid. South Carolina's favorite son became the first Gamecock player in a century of football to have his jersey retired while still active and earn a place in history and adoration from every fan who ever saw him wear the garnet and black. When the balloting was completed, George Rodgers stood tall as the greatest player in the college game and brought home to the state of South Carolina its first ever Heisman Trophy. George went on to finish with 168 yards against Clemson.
Turns the corner, 40, 45, 50, down the sideline to the 40, still going and out of bounds. Inside the Tiger 30 at the 29-yard line.
He attained his 22nd straight 100-yard-plus rushing game in front of a throng of 35,000 ardent Gamecock fans who traveled to Jacksonville, Florida, and watched him win the Gator Bowl's Most Valuable Offensive Player award. George Rodgers captained this, the most prolific offensive team in Gamecock football history. The team's 348 points scored and 3,397 yards rushing were single-season records that enabled this team to tie the school's record for most victories with 8. George finished his brilliant season with 1,894 yards rushing and capped out his career not only as the leading rusher at Carolina, but his 5,204 yards earned him a lofty 4th place on the all-time NCAA list. His consensus All-American senior season and career set Gamecock records for rushing yardage and for most points scored, with 84 in 1980 and 200 for his career. While the Heisman Trophy winner went on to lead the National Football League in rushing, the 1981 South Carolina team continued its winning ways, not on the ground, but by going to the air with Gordon Beckham at the helm. This first touchdown through the air came in the season opener against